Now that we know how to graph polar coordinates, the next thing we want to learn to do is, how do I convert rectangular coordinates to polar coordinates? We have done some of this before. If I have the point x, y, the radius is simply found using the Pythagorean theorem. You should remember this from when we did basic trigonometry and using the unit circle. And the angle is the inverse tangent of y over x. And you have to watch, because when you use a calculator, it will give you either one in the first quadrant or the fourth quadrant. So you have to look at your x and y coordinates, that if it gives you a direction in the fourth quadrant, it may actually be meaning in the opposite direction here. So look at x and y. I'll show an example of that. Let's do some points then and convert them to polar coordinates. Let's take the point 5, 0. Well, clearly the radius of this is 5, and the direction is 0. Same as 5, 0. It's the same in rectangular polar, so the direction is 0, because the inverse tangent of 0 over 5 equals 0. So that would be the point 5, 0 out here. Let's take a look at the point 0, -3. Again, the radius we can see is 3. The direction is going to be the inverse tangent of -3 over 0. Well, that's undefined. Well, we know if the tangent is undefined, that it's on the y-axis. So in this case, -3 would be down, and that's at 3 pi over 2. So theta would be at 3 pi over 2. And so the polar coordinates would be 3 at 3 pi over 2. And now let's take a look at another point that's not on the axis. Let's look at the point 3, 4. So the radius would be the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared, which is 9 plus 16, which is the square root of 25. And so r equals 5. So we have a radius of 5. Now we need a direction. Theta equals the inverse tangent of 4 over 3. And I'm going to go to my calculator and calculate that. We're going to do the inverse tangent of 4 divided by 3. And that's 53 degrees. I'm going to use degrees for that one. So here's 45 degrees. This is 60 degrees, so 53 degrees would be somewhere out this direction. And we'd go out to 0.5. 3, 4, 5. One last one. Let's convert negative 5, 12 into polar coordinates. The radius would be the square root of 25 plus 144, which is the square root of 169, which is 13. So my radius equals 13. My angle will be the inverse tangent of 12 over negative 5. So I'm going to take the inverse tangent of 12 divided by negative 5. And I get negative 67 degrees. Well, negative 67 degrees puts me down here. But we can see that negative 5, 12 puts me in this quadrant. So I simply add 180. So that will be going in the opposite direction. And you get 113. So it's 113 degrees, if you want the degrees written in a positive number. So we've looked at how to convert rectangular into polar. Now let's see if we